Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another one of our In My Experience interviews with Indian entrepreneurs who are really making a success of their own luxury and premium brands. We are joined, as always, by Shreya Agarwal, our great friend and colleague, who's an expert in the luxury brands area. And today we're also joined by Abhishek Verma from the Indiano Pelleteria. Am I right with that? I'm glad.
Absolutely.
My Italian is a little rusty, I'm afraid. Today, we're going to be learning a lot more about how they've been inspired and the beautiful shoes. I strongly recommend that you go and have a look at their website after this, because the stunning styles, the beautiful range of shoes that are in the collection really do demonstrate how luxury and Indian creation, but also inspiration, really creating something which is quite different. So thank you for joining us, and over to Shreya.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for a lovely introduction as always. And thank you, Abhishek, for accepting the invite to be part of a conversation series.
Thank you, Shreya.
Thank you so much. Abhishek, we were having this conversation the other day on how did you come up with the concept of Indiano Pelleteria and launching the brand. And one thing that we picked on was how the brand evolved, understanding that there was a gap in the Indian market for premium footwear for men, right? Apart from the Indian brands, basically in this segment. So, would you want to share your journey with creation of the brand?
I think what is important over here was that when I came back to India from Italy, I was trying to start my own company, and then I start doing a lot of research in the market, because it's very important to be precise. You want to reduce chances of getting failed. So I do my research, and under different portfolio of products in terms of luxury, I identify that there is basically a major gap in the footwear business. So I'm talking about 2016, when I was doing my research and seeing how the entire market was performing. I find, as a consumer, basically I visited these stores. My first work was to start visiting all different malls, different retail stores, different shops, different brands which are there, because then it give you a fair idea how market is performing, right? So over there I realized that we were having a huge gap between a premium, between the mass market and a luxury part. So let's say we were having a lot of brands like Hush Puppies, we were having Metro, Roche, we were having Liberty, Bata, all these brands which were offering products from 5,000 up till 10,000 rupees. And as soon as you would like to have one good shoe, I'm talking about one good shoe, other option after 10,000, what directly you have to go to these luxury stores, wherein I'm talking about Jimmy Choo's, Ferragamo's, Canali, Armani, wherein the price point starts at only around 50,000 rupees.
Yeah.
So there was a gap in between where I think, which I also find, I was searching shoe for myself as well, and I was unable to find a good shoe. I was willing to pay some additional amount of money for it, but there was no such brand which was existing at that time. And that was the idea where it kicked me that, why not to get into a footwear business. Apart from that, one more very important aspect to this business about footwear is that it's very technical product. Not a lot of players would like to enter over there. So of course, when we talk about competition, it is not so intense in that perspective. So that was the reason basically I decided to launch a brand in that gap which was there between 10,000 up till 40,000. So offering same kind of make, but then almost half the prices, or you can say one third of the prices.
Mm-hmm. And if you think of 2016 was not long back, it is fairly very, very recent. And in fact, I was also having this conversation with another Indian entrepreneur who were basically exporting their designs initially to all the other brands across to premium luxury brands. But eventually, that's the same thing that they came up with, that, what are the brands apart from Bata, Metro that you can think of, which are Indian brands, which are Indian luxury brands. And actually, I just I felt short of words because I really didn't know if there were any brands. And that's when we mentioned that, that's where we realized that now the Indian consumers are more aware and they would want to spend that amount of money. And then they launched their own brand, and the brand is doing extremely well right now. It's been appreciated, and they also have a lot of customer retention. The customer retention percentage is also higher, so that means that people are appreciating the product. So that's quite interesting.
I mean, you're absolutely right, Shreya. I mean, a lot of big manufacturing hubs are there in Indian market. If we talk about Mirza International, or if we talk about Farida International, I mean, all these companies were pure manufacturers, and all of them were exporting. And of course, because of the kind of demand which has increased over last 5 years, these brands have also, I mean, they have introduced their own brands in the market, and they are doing pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. And Abhishek, now that you've launched your brand, I also remember how this is going to be very interesting for the entrepreneurs who's looking at starting their business or even thinking about entering the market, which the first thing that everybody thinks about is the finance. How do we take care of the finance, right? And I remember having this conversation with you, which was very interesting for me, and I'm sure it's going to be for our viewers also, that the company and the brand started with very limited finance, right? But however, you very strategically got the best of the designers, best of the people with the craftsmanship on board. So would you want to throw some light on it of what was your approach in doing it right, and or what were the steps that you'd taken?
Absolutely right, Shreya. I mean, you have highlighted a very important point. I mean, for any entrepreneur, initial investment, or you can say finance, is the crucial part. I mean, I would recommend, even to, while you are spending single penny, you have to think not twice but thrice or four times, because that is a limited fund which is there. The more the faster you're going to burn it, the quicker you're going to finish with it. So, and brand requires some time to basically, when you start creating that brand value in the market itself. So initially, as I told you, that a single person can't run the entire show. I mean, you need people, you need strong team with you, right? Be it maybe some of your friends are coming together, working together, or maybe if you're able to find these right people. So when I start looking for these people, of course, you are able to find a lot of people, but when you start speaking to them, most of them were like, okay, we are not going to work on a free perspective, but I'm going to charge high amount of money. And the kind of salaries they were asking, I mean, of course, there are certain designers which are also from Italy or from Paris who are designing our collection, and the charges were around 25,000 euros a month, which is like, if I'm going to pay salary for a single designer, I mean, I'm going to finish my money within 2 months. Yeah. So what I thought after talking to a lot of people, that I need these people. Now the thing is, to make my dream successful, I want these people on board. Now anyhow, I have to come up with some kind of strategic plan for it. So I thought, let's do one thing. I start talking to them in that perspective. If you think that your designs are so commercial, if you think that you are able to create beautiful designs, let's be a kind of partner in terms of retail, revenue sharing perspective. So yes, I am going to give you some amount of fixed money in the beginning while preparing the entire collection. But apart from that, number of pieces which I'm going to sell for those designs, I'm going to offer you some rev sharing for it. And I was able to crack few designers who are designing for Versace, who are designing for Jimmy Choo's, who are working for my brand. And that's what, when you are going to see the entire men's collection, you will find that kind of detailing and that kind of designs which you will not even find in Gucci or Ferragamo, or in that perspective, any luxury brand.
Right. That's very important, I think, for the entrepreneurs to take note of, that how you can strategically plan your finances, right? There's always a way. It's just that it needs to be lucrative for both the teams, people who we are hiring, and as well as the person who's hiring. And that's very crucial. I think, Helen, would you like to add on to this in terms of what Abhishek has just mentioned?
I think certainly the key around not burning through the initial cash pot is essential, because I've seen it, just from experience of working with other entrepreneurs around the world, that they've not really allowed for a runway that is a year. The cash has run out after 6 months, but after 6 months, you might just be starting to see some traction, and then suddenly you have to stop. So it's making sure you have a clarity about what you're having to spend the money on, where you absolutely must spend that money, otherwise there's nothing that you can do about it. Your business will fail anyway. But also being a little bit more entrepreneurial in the way that you do deal with people. I'm getting to be quite good at bartering now, because actually that's what happens. You have to give things that are of value to someone else, but avoiding cash in all ways. So actually, I think the sharing and this shared value, if you like, of wanting to be able to help each other, but can't do it for free, it's something that's becoming much more commonplace, and I think perhaps was always there, but we now need to really appreciate it, because not everybody has access to investors who have got deep pockets. And in fact, very few investors, unless you're in the tech sector, will invest in an idea or something which doesn't yet have traction.
Absolutely.
There is a pattern to investment, and it's only when you've got traction. And in some cases, you might not then need their investment, but if you do, they're going to be looking at traction. So I think it's a really good point.
So, Abhishek, since the brand originated, understanding that there is a gap in the Indian market, right? Was it a challenge for you to develop your customer base and educate them about the product, in terms of why are you going to pay that premium price for the footwear, which you can easily maybe, obviously you not get it in the market, but just to justify the price amount, right? Or do you think that you already had customers who were waiting for that product and were knowledgeable about the know-how?
So I mean, yeah, Shreya. So what happened? I mean, one thing was very clear with me, that when I was trying to sell my products, so it was always me who is going to talk and interact with these customers, because the person who have basically created the product understand and can also explain what beauty or what value basically is there in the product. If I talk about men's footwear, it's very functional product. It's very three-dimensional product. So when I talk about these consumers, it was very, I was like surprised to know that these people were already knowing about these constructions.
Mm.
As soon as I say that it's a good air welted shoe, and then they say, really, it's good air welted shoe. Are you sure? Because you're selling in 30,000. I mean, I can't find such shoe in less than 30,000 rupees. I have to, even if I'm going to Tots, right? Then also I have to spend at least 60,000 rupees for buying this shoe. So are you sure this is the real Goodyear construction shoe? So when I start talking to other clients also, I came to realize that they already know about the construction. They already know about the quality when they are looking at the product, because the kind of finish which you achieve at the end of the day, that is something which is going to change the entire perception of your product. Right? So you can make shoe for sure, but when we talk about the finish, I mean, not even a single dot you can identify as an issue over there. So that is very important over there. These customers were already aware about what product I was trying to sell.
That's quite interesting, actually, for me, because that means that, Abhishek, you were very clear about the clientele that you would want to target, who know their product.
I mean, I would not say that I was already knowing them, but yeah, after visiting to a lot of stores and looking at what exactly different brands are offering, and after having initial conversation, I was clear that okay, my Goodyear Wilted collection is going to go just like that. I don't have to basically work a lot for that collection.
Got it. Yeah, I think, but I think there's a lot of scope, right, in terms of educating the people who are not aware about it, but might still have the purchasing power of, being part of the brand and purchasing the shoes, right? So I think that education would help them there.
Yeah, I think one more thing, Shreya, is there. I also find certain customers who were like, okay, they don't understand these technical terms, but they were like, I want my shoe to be comfortable. And I told them that, okay, fine, you wear it for 8 hours, because as soon as they pick the product, they will say, okay, it's very heavy. I mean, I can't wear it for 8 hours. And I said, try it on. I mean, try it for a day, and if you find that there is a problem, you are unable to wear it, you can return it free of cost to me. I mean, I'm not going to charge, I mean, any amount of money. You can keep the shoe.
Right.
And you won't believe, I mean, the customer, once they bought my shoe for the first time, I was able to retain them. And I have certain customers who come every month to me. "Hey, Abhishek, something new is there in the store or not?" So I
Mhm.
was
That's the
like,
most
okay, so
important bit.
that means a Goodyear welted construction is such a comfortable shoe
Yeah.
because of the kind of material which is used over there. And then after using them, when we always talk about that brand is something which, wherein you are making certain promises, and if it is
Mm-hmm.
well delivered, then only people start looking value in your product. And that's what would
Absolutely.
happen. They start trying it, they buy it, they try it, and then they were convinced, okay, fine. I mean, these what he was talking about makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Brand promise, absolutely essential,
Very
isn't it?
important.
And I love the way try before you buy, because that demonstrates confidence in the product, and they're going to be really pleasantly surprised that suddenly something can be so comfortable. Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Also, Abhishek, you mentioned this point, right? That um, we have good product, right? Our brand is good. We know that the brand promise is absolutely spot on. However, sometimes it becomes very difficult to make sure that your brand and your product reaches to your customers, and especially in the Indian market. So we spoke about the importance of penetrating the market, irrespective of you knowing that the product is there and your customers should be knowing about it. So tell me what were the challenges of faced by you while penetrating into the Indian market, and how did you overcome them? What were the steps that the brand took to make a mark there?
So yes, Shreya, I think this is the most important topic which you have just highlighted. It was a biggest challenge for me in the beginning. So I was completely ready with my products. My designs were rolling. My products were there. But
Mm-hmm.
when I talk about these customers, so of course these customers might be coming to such locations which are known or which are having such portfolio of brands.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm talking about willingness to pay, or I'm talking about a disposable income. And in India at that time, there was only, I mean, I'm talking about Delhi market. So Delhi market, it was only Emporio, DLF
Mm-hmm.
Emporio, or it was Khan
Yep,
market.
Mm.
Now, if I talk about the rentals, they was, I mean, huge, humongous.
I'm
I mean,
sure.
Khan market was one of the costliest retail space in Asia. I mean, if I
Yes, I
talk
would
about
about it.
that
Yes.
perspective, yeah.
Mm.
And then Emporio, the issue was that, okay, so one, finance was the one of the major issue. Second issue was that even if you have funds, now the rules are in such a manner that it's very difficult to penetrate them, because the concept was there that the entire mall is divided into different percentage of kind of product which will be there. So 20% will be given to footwears, or
Yeah.
30% will be given to the
Category
garments.
placement,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
So the thing is, either the store should be empty, which, because only single DLF Emporio mall was there, it won't be empty. So if any brand will leave, then only you can enter.
Yeah.
And even if you're entering, let's say by any chance you are able to get that vacancy over there, and if you are participating over there, the next question is, okay, how old is your brand?
Mm.
Because for retailers, I mean, for these real estate people, they want that, the amount of money should come constantly. That is their
Yeah.
Yeah.
major worry. So they are looking for, okay, how many stores do you have in India, and do you have any stores outside India as well, and how old your brand is. So even if you have money, if you have arranged money, it is impossible to go over there. Apart from that, during my time when I started, there were very few multi-brand outlets. Like Aditya Birla Group was having this brand called Collective, wherein
Mm-hmm.
they are having these multiple products from different companies and they are selling over there. So again, I approached them also. I was able to dig out the number and email ID of the person who was heading there, and I had a conversation with her, and she was like, "Okay, Abhishek, your products are beautiful, and believe me when I say beautiful, I mean they are very good products." And I told them that whatever collection you're having in your store, it is complementing them. It's not cannibalizing them, because my designs are completely different what you're offering in the market. So it is going to build a proper portfolio of your
Mm-hmm.
product. But then she was like, we can only and only take brands which are coming from international markets. So even your product was good, you are again, there was a stop that you can't sell over there. And I told them that you are selling Santoni, which is 6-year-old collection, at 60,000 rupees. I'm offering the recent trend collection, Italian make. I mean, in terms of quality, I'm talking about, and full price is also just 30,000 rupees, and still you're not keeping those products. And they said that it's a strict rules and guidelines wherein we are only going to place international brands into the market. I mean, after that, I thought, okay, because without a retail space, you can't even promote. I mean, you are promoting where people are going to come and buy your product.
Right.
So I started in a kind of tier B kind of malls. So I identified certain places, like I opened one store in front of Mall of India. There is Garden Galleria Mall over there, and one store I opened in Panchkula, because Panchkula was something, a kind of clientele which was there, and they were willing to experiment on certain such kind of brands, at least to start with. And then later on, I think in last 4 years, uh, I mean, because of pandemic, because of GST going up, because a lot of international brands coming up into the market, the Indian market start opening up. So now there are a lot of multi-brand outlets. Like if we talk about Tata Click, it's very recent. Just last 2 years back, they started their own company. Reliance Lux, they have launched their Reliance luxury category.
Lux, yeah.
Yeah, so AGO Lux they have launched, and then they have, I think, launched in last 6 or 7 months only. Now things are very easy for me. I can display my products to all these places, because try and understand, I have only two ways: either to take space in that mall, DLF Emporio, where the customers are already coming, or I should promote by spending huge amount of money in marketing.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't do both the things together. But now things are much
Okay.
better. I start collaborating with a lot of second great kind of brands. Like I collaborated with Keech. So Keech was having their store in Defense Colony. So I start a physical store with collaboration with them. Again, I was not giving them any rent over there. It was rev sharing. Any product
Revolution.
is getting sold, I'm very happy to share the revenue which is coming, because then I don't have to pay from my pockets.
Right. Right.
So so now we are present on a lot of multi-brand outlet stores, and we are lucky enough, because as I told you that the kind of product which you're offering is very few brands which are offering such products. So a lot of brands are also approaching us these days, that we want you to keep our products in our collection. And now we have to select, okay, does it dilute my brand or not? Because what kind of
Right.
portfolio you're having
Yeah.
for different brands, then only I can say yes if I can put my product next to your brands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very interesting points, Abhishek, that you've mentioned. Firstly, it's very difficult in the Indian market to find the right retail space, right? Because of the lack of infrastructure. Obviously, now the market is expanding, so the infrastructure is growing. Otherwise, we had very limited spaces available. So that was one. Second thing, I feel what you've mentioned, how the market is being opened, right? The market is actually opening amidst the pandemic. I would say, obviously, there are other reasons also why the market is also being supporting these brands, right? Both local and global brands. And we have these e-commerce platforms which are actually increasing at a very, very fast pace. We have Tata Click Luxury, we have Agio Lux. So we've different platforms to actually collaborate with. So that gives your brand visibility also and discovery for a lot of people who don't even know your brand. And as you've mentioned, the third way is in terms of collaborating with upcoming brands. That's a brilliant way, I feel, because that again gives you the visibility, because their customers, their audiences then get to know about your brand presence. And eventually, when you are at that position to, claim where my brand should be, where should I choose, that's when you are basically at that level that you can choose. Okay, I shouldn't be there because that will lead to brand dilution. So I think that's very interesting, as well as very important for people to know, especially the new entrepreneurs who are wanting to get into the market. So that's a brilliant piece of advice. Thank you so
I
much.
think it's fascinating, because sometimes you can be so focused on what the ideal is that you miss the opportunities for something which might not be quite the ideal, but what it does is get you out there. It gets you in front of people, and you can always then go from that point. People will find you, as you say. Some brands come looking for you now because they've seen you in the market and they've seen you being successful in different locations. So I think having that awareness and also the pragmatism to say, you need to actually just get yourself into this market, and providing it's not going to be brand damaging, which is never going to be the choice you want, it's perhaps suboptimal in terms of where you'd love to be, but being realistic, it means that actually it's going to still work for you. And being aware of that, the structure, the barriers, the restrictions, as you say, we don't sell anything apart from international brands, which makes me put my head in my hands because it's just so short-sighted. But actually, the chances that you've got now came because you couldn't get into some of those locations, and now they're becoming more open for you. So sometimes, success is a waiting game. And you have to make sure you're waiting in the right places.
I think it was also very important for me. I mean, the floors were shutting up and it was forcing me to think of different ways
Yes.
to get inside the market. I think, ultimately you want customers, a lot of customers should know about your brand.
Yeah.
So rather than promoting and pumping in huge amount of money in promotion, it's better to just go with, let's say, Tata Click. So Tata Click might already be having 10,000 customer base.
Yes.
So if they are having 10,000 customers, that means at least 5,000 people are going to see my brand over there.
Yes. Yes.
And as you rightly said, Helen, that once customer is going to see my brand over there, they are going to find me out. They're going to call me and tell me, okay, Abhishek, I saw your product on Tata Click. Now tell me what best, price you can offer us if I'm going to directly buy from you.
Yes.
Because they also understand the entire dynamic, how it is happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They do. They do.
So on that note, Abhishek, we've had a lovely conversation, but I will not let you go before you tell me what is that one piece of advice that you would want to give to young entrepreneurs or people wanting to penetrate into the Indian luxury market.
I think I would just tell them that they should use their logical thinking along with their emotional thinking. So logical part is going to bring the risk of failures. I mean, it is going to reduce the risk of failure because you are doing a lot of research, numbers which are supporting that there is a gap or there is a market or people are looking for it. And emotional thinking, why I'm saying, because emotional thinking is going to bring the passion.
Yeah.
Right.
Persistency. I mean, you have to create your brand. You have to push it to whatever extent. If the passion is not there, I mean, whatever research you have done it's not going to justify. Because as I told you, that the way you are going to pitch your product, which you have created, nobody else can basically do that thing.
Yeah, definitely. Emotional intelligence, very, very important today. We need to marry it with your brand and be very conscious about it. So thank you so much, Abhishek. It was a very, very insightful conversation with you. And again, thank you for accepting our invite and being part of our conversation series.
Thank you so much, Shreya. It was pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much, Helen, for inviting me and giving me a chance to share my experiences and knowledge.
No, it's been fascinating. Thank you. And I think, the key things I've taken out of this is that when you're starting out, you have to do your research. You have to understand your market, identify where there's a gap, and then verify that there is actually a market in that gap as well. Otherwise, you're just putting ideas out there and hoping somebody might buy them in the future, which is probably not the best way. I think your advice certainly around don't burn through your initial capital that you have available. Bootstrapping is the way that most businesses get going. Not many can actually get external investment to a level that they perhaps would like when it's the first go around. So actually bootstrapping requires you to really be mean on every single cent, every rupee that you're going to be spending, so that you get the maximum value from it. I think finding the right people to work with you in your business is crucial. So those that have an appreciation not only for the product, but they have a passion that they share with you so that they buy into it is absolutely fundamental. And knowing that not everything is going to go as you plan. Actually, you could have all the most wonderful plans in the world, but you're going to have to change something some point. It will never work just in the way that you
Variation is very
dreamed.
important.
Yeah,
So I
just,
think
just being able to shift your focus and to rethink about something, absolutely fundamental. So yeah, I think some really, really helpful, very interesting tips and ideas coming from you. So thank you on behalf of ourselves, but also on behalf of all of the entrepreneurs who are going to benefit from your wisdom.
thank you so much, Helen, for inviting me. I mean, one last point I would like to share over here, which you told right now, that I mean, in Indian market, last 2 years, it was a roller coaster.
Mhm.
I mean, suddenly, I mean, you have done your costing, you have decided your positioning in the market. Okay, this is your position because you cannot go way beyond.
Yeah.
And suddenly, demonetization came.
Yes.
So just before the launch, demonetization was there. So November was demonetization, and December I launched it. And after 6 months, the taxes. So there was a 14% VAT, and suddenly it got increased up to 18% of GST.
Yeah.
And then later on, we have pandemic. Everything got shut, and then now everything has opened up. Taxes and duties have gone up.
Mm.
Rates are going. I mean, sky soaring. 30% they have increased.
Mm.
So things are literally getting very difficult. So I will always advise this also when you are planning your retail pricing. Be very careful to keep certain margins so that you are
Yes.
able to even offer to
Right.
these multi-brand outlets some percentage, or even if you want to go on discounts or
Yeah.
such thing happens, you have some kind of margin to basically
Yeah.
absorb those things.
Yeah. Leave some headroom.
Yeah.
Very, very good advice. Thank you so much for your time, Abhishek.